Well, summer is here, and while some are planning vacations out of state, many of Southfield's workforce are staying close by and volunteering their time on various projects. Two of the bigger efforts in Southfield have been Rebuilding Together Oakland County and the Rouge Rescue. We'll have all this today and more on Business Matters and Business Cares. Rebuilding Together is a nonprofit organization in Oakland County that provides free home repairs for low-income homeowners. Its mission is to provide a safe and healthy home for everyone. Hallie Black is the executive director of Rebuilding Together. She started out as a volunteer in high school with her student council.
I just saw the impact that it could make for homeowners who can't physically do the work themselves or afford to hire someone to do it. So it makes a really big difference for them, and it's exciting to be a part of that and make someone's day. 21 projects going on across Oakland County, interior, exterior. We are doing painting, landscaping, building 2 wheelchair ramps, and interior repairs that are safe and healthy, so replacing dryer vents to prevent fires, installing smoke detectors, all kinds of repairs, just dependent on what the homeowner needs, and we do a thorough investigation prior to the workday to put together a scope of work that's safe and healthy. Lots of corporations and faith-based organizations who donate to sponsor the work that's being done. So they will pay for a sponsorship for a project around $3,500, and that pays for the materials at the house, and then a lot of them provide volunteers to help with the manpower to get that done. Corporate sponsor is our countywide sponsor, Eaton Corporation, and they help fund projects that are going on today and throughout the year. We also have Booz Allen Hamilton, like I said, DT Energy, Spectrum, and so that is part sponsorship and part grants. We receive grants from Bank of America, PNC Foundation. There's too many to name, but we're very thankful for their support, and this has been going on we have many that have been with us for many years, so we're very thankful.
I've been working with Rebuilding Together for 8 years, house captain for 4. They asked me they gave me a choice of 2 homes. I took this one. We thought it'd be less work, but they're never less work. The group here is Transfiguration Church in Southfield, and we also have a group from Hewlett Packard. My Ann Gilmartin, who works with me, she does all my computer work. She has a group from Hewlett Packard. I get the people from Transfiguration. We work together on the project. We also have a carpenter. He's not a carpenter, he's my brother. He's my head carpenter. His name is Tom. I have Jeanette Hughes, who handles all the painting for me. I have a crew working outside. Ann Gilmartin's kind of helping that out. It's a team effort.
The way I found my home in Southfield was like, I was looking for a home, and I like the Southfield area because I used to go to work in Franklin Hills, and I would, the city of Franklin, and I would come down Evergreen and to work the 13-mile road. And so I said to myself, I'm going to live out here one day, and here I am. The house it was in good condition when I first moved in here. The streets weren't paved, but now they are. They just did our streets for us. I like the neighborhood. The neighbors were nice. Since I've been living here, it's had really improved with a lot of building and everything like that. And I like it because I'm close to everything, so shopping and expressways and everything like that. I am so excited right now. I am really excited. It's awesome to me is that never in my lifetime would I think that I would be able to have all this done, because as far as windows are concerned, that wasn't an option for me. So I'm really thankful that they're helping me, and I appreciate it so much. It's really awesome because I would have never, like I said, I would never been able to afford these things being done. So I appreciate it immensely.
The look on their face is the whole thing. That's what keeps me coming back. That's what keeps all these people coming back. I get the same volunteers almost every year. One, we had to repair the roof, which took us 2.5 days more than we expected. We had to repair all the holes inside the house on the ceiling. We had 7 of them. We are painting all but the bedrooms, the living room, family room, kitchen, 2 bathrooms, hallway. We're putting a new floor down in the kitchen and hallway, and we're cleaning the yard. The yard, Tom here is kind of running the backyard for me, and he's new to our project this year. But as you can see from the growth that we're bringing out, there's a lot of stuff in the backyard. So it's a complete project. It's not just inside the house, it's outside the house, it's repairs outside and the yard. The city of Southfield is very supportive of everything we do around here. They come out, they're going to be taking all this stuff out today. They help the homeowner out on different things, and they help different homeowners in the city out that are low income that need help. So the city is very good about that. I love the city.
Rebuilding Together orchestrates one big weekend a year to do repairs, but they also do other projects throughout the year.
They do small projects throughout the year. It depends on the funding. Funding is our biggest thing. It takes a lot of money to do what we're doing. We've also had new windows put in this house. Wall side windows was out Friday, and they put all new windows in. Rebuilding Together sponsored it. So, and we get funding from different corporations, different groups that keep us going.
I've been looking for homes for a very long time, and I just felt like some of the homes were pretty small, and I wanted something more, livable, more space. And I thought Southfield offered that for us. Lived at this address, it's actually a year and 4 or 5 months now. What it was like, it was truly great. I was very excited because this was my first time being a homeowner. So it was what I expected, but at this point it was also a big, huge job for me being a single mom. So actually I work for Michigan First, the credit union, and I was speaking with a member, and she was telling me about a lot of nonprofit things or just organizations she's worked for, and she told me to check out Rebuilding Together. And that's how I came about the program.
Nice to meet you.
Rick Lampe is the Housing Operations Specialist for Southfield. He gets federal grants for the city and handles the Community Block Grant program.
Well, the city has a Community Development Block Grant program, which is federal funds, and we contribute to Rebuilding Together to help support their efforts in Southfield, and we buy building material and stuff like that. So we budget about $30,000 a year. And with that, we'll get 8 to 10 houses fixed up and improved, and hopefully there's a spin-off from that. We fix up one house, maybe somebody else fix up their house, and so try to make it contagious and try to maintain the communities, make them better. We also have some of the public works people helping to assist picking up debris and stuff like that. It's just a neat effort. It's people helping people. From my point, it's people fixing up houses in the city. The volunteers come here, they work, they go home, they ache, they're sore, but it's a good sore, and it's just it's a win-win for everybody.
Helping the neighbor. It's what I see all the time in Southfield. I love it. I always see people pitching in. I heard about this, I thought this is great. Oh, we're doing what? We got outside crews, the unskilled laborers like myself. We're taking care of probably 20 years of neglect from the backyard. We're moving a lot of trees that just don't need to be there, junk trees, and just cleaning up outside. Inside, a lot of skilled trades going on. I know you're gonna want to get a look at that. So outside, it's just us grunts. To me, this is Southfield. This is the kind of spirit that I see all the time. I see it at City Hall, I see it at DPW, I see it in general in the city. So I think this is just a perfect fit with what we have.
Well, today we got the Magna Corporation here at Anna Wallace's house doing some repair work. She really needs some help here in Southfield with some critical needs that she's got in her home. And this team is a corporation here in the community who's said that they'd come and love to do some work on our home today. And they've been working with us, I think, the last 3 years and have just grabbed onto more and more opportunities here in the Southfield community as each year goes by. Well, in terms of the contributions from the volunteers, they come from all over Oakland County. And so they can be churches, they can be corporations, they can be municipal teams from the city and others who all the time come out to help. The funding comes from different corporate sponsors comes from the city of Southfield in this case, and from other donations that we get at large, and from our own volunteers. The other thing, though, that we're always looking for in Southfield specifically is to find volunteer groups who live here and would like to help their own neighbors. Churches, corporations, city employees, those kinds of things are what we'd really like to get the help from. We don't mind bringing folks in from outside of Southfield to do work here, but it'd be great if we could find a team of volunteers who could kind of steer these projects in Southfield, because we have anywhere from 6 to a dozen projects that we do here every year. And if we had volunteers who lived in this community who wanted to grab hold of those projects, I think there'd be a lot more community spirit. I think there'd be a lot more happy homeowners in terms of having their real neighbors helping them. In Southfield, we've been working here for 10 years, and we've done over 111 projects in Southfield. And in the beginnings, it was very humble. We started with a few homes, and we created a steering committee here in Southfield. Probably about 5 years ago, that went away because I happened to be the chairperson of that committee, and then I became president then of the county organization. And we've worked with local churches, with local businesses, and so on to do the projects we've done over the years. In this community of Southfield, it's a high visibility community, so some of our countywide sponsors, Wallside Windows, Hanson's Windows, Robin Air Heating, and those kind of folks, they've come in and either donated their labor and we bought the material, or we bought the labor and they donated the material to do projects here in this community. So that was a real big give back and helps us to leverage every single dollar we get to turn into $3 or $4 of finished home improvements. Yeah, here in Southfield, we've had some very good involvement from both the city, from the churches, from corporate groups in the past, and that's kind of gone away a little bit in these last 2-3 years. And we've had to bring in some of our teams from outside the community. And while we've got teams who are ready and willing to do that, I still think it'd be absolutely more important to have folks who live in Southfield, who work in Southfield, to be those kinds of teams that are working really to help the neighbors that they're neighboring with. And if we could get any help from anybody, the commissions in Southfield, the community groups, the churches, I would make that appeal right now. Please give us a contact at Rebuilding Together Oakland County. For anyone who's looking to volunteer, to sponsor with money, or they're a homeowner that's looking for help, please feel free to go to rebuildingtogether-oaklandcounty.org, and at our website you can make application, you can volunteer, you can turn into sponsors, and you can do many of the things that we're doing in this community. And raise your hand either as a homeowner that needs help or a volunteer who wants to do some work. We've got videos there, we got testimonials there, our Cable 15 News, usually have a feed on there as well. It's all good. Yeah, Rebuilding Together Oakland County is changing our operating model. We used to do basically the month of April, we would do all of our rebuilding projects. And that was a real concentrated effort. And we're changing that now to become a more year-round organization. But to do that, we need homeowners to apply all throughout the year, not just in the spring of the year for rebuilding projects. So I'd encourage any homeowners, any families who know homeowners who might need the help, to make applications at any time during the year, because we can get the work done now throughout the year as compared just in the month of April.
17 or 18 years ago, a gentleman from our church introduced us to Rebuilding Together, and our church got involved, and since then it's spread out and we've been involved ever since. I've done everything from roofing to plumbing, electrical, painting, drywall, pretty much everything you can think of. Minor carpentry. We replaced a full kitchen one year. That was a very exciting task. I like that it gives me a sense of community. I feel like I'm helping my neighbor and giving people a hand up. Okay, the homeowner, her name is Anna, and her niece's name is Nicole, and they've got quite a few little projects that have kind of like slid for a while, and we're trying to catch them up. There's a lot of little minor repairs here and there, like fix a switch, change some light bulbs, fix the drainage for the sump pump, you know, just miscellaneous things. But there's quite a number of them, and it's a lot of work to do. Yeah, the garage door opener is not working correctly. It appears that it's undersized. It's a new garage door opener, but it's not. It doesn't have enough energy to pull the door up. So we're going to replace the door opener with a bigger one. At some point in the past, somebody routed the sump pump drain across the front of the driveway and off to the side yard, and it's in the way. So we're rerouting it to the center of the yard to give it a drain field that isn't getting the driveway wet all the time. We're basically digging a hole to put a drainage field in. Just slope it away from the house, give it a place for the water to go that's not obtrusive, that doesn't make a big mess.
Rebuilding Together Oakland County is seeking volunteers for their annual National Rebuilding Day and their year-round off-cycle and minor home repair programs. If you possess a willing spirit and a desire to help your neighbor in need, you can contact them at Rebuilding Together Oakland County, 248-432-6551. The Rouge River Cleanup is an annual event that allows the community to work together along with other communities within the Rouge River watershed for one single cause, to clean up the Rouge River. Starting in 1986, volunteers removed large quantities of trash from the Rouge River. As sites improved, public perception shifted from the river as an open sewer and a place to dump trash to its restoration, including invasive plants removal, installation of native plantings, and the stabilization of stream banks.
I just want to welcome you. This is our 47th year doing the Rouge River cleanup. And every single year, I mean, we do end up with log jams. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we need your help, is we have trees that come down in the river. Once a tree comes down, then stuff from upriver gets caught up into it and ends up building up a nice sized log jam. We'll have 2 log jams that we'll work on today, those who are doing log jam work. We're just north of Civic Center Drive. They'll probably take us about 3 hours to get done with the people that we have here. Just a couple of thank yous. Thank you to the City Council, administration, to the mayor just for their support of this event. And again, we can't do it without your help. So those with local business who work here, our residents who work to help us out, and then our fellow city workers, everybody coming together for a common effort to get this river cleaned up and continue it flowing. One of the major reasons why we clean out the log jams is erosion. You'll see down there today that usually when we have a log jam, the water will usually flow around the log jam, which then scours the edges and then takes down additional trees if those log jams aren't removed. So erosion is one of the big reasons why we do this. A couple things that you need to know. If you've been down there before, you've heard my spiel about the floodplain can be a dangerous place. It's going to be a little bit slippery. We had a little bit of rain yesterday. May have slicked things up a little bit, so we just want you to watch where you're stepping, where you're walking, especially when it comes to pulling material out. We're going to want to make sure that you have good firm footing on where you are. We do have various plant material down there that we'll have to watch out for. I'll point it out. We do have poison ivy that's down there. We do have a plant that's called stinging nettles. And if you get your hand in it or if you hit it with your knee, it'll sting and then it'll itch like crazy. I'll try and point it out. There's one little patch of it where we will be working. I'll point it out to you and we'll try to avoid that the best as possible. We also have some plant material, some trees that do have spikes on either on the branches themselves or on the trunks too. So I'll point those out as well, whether it's buckthorn or if it's hawthorn, one or the other. When we get to the point of actually pulling on the rope, this gets pretty tight. What we don't want you to do is wrap your arm around it and think that I'm going to get a much better grip this way in pulling. What happens is this gets so tight we can end up with a broken arm, broken wrist. So anytime that we're pulling hand over hand like this, okay? Also, when we're pulling stuff out, everyone needs to be on the same side of the rope. If we're on opposite sides, the rope could end up going back and forth one way or another. So we want everybody on the same side of the rope whenever we're pulling items out. Other than that, it's pretty simple. Like I said, we do have 2 log jams we want to get out today, about 3 hours worth of work. And with that, those who are doing log jam work, get on this bus right here. Everyone else who's doing the invasive species removal, go to the bus that's farther to the north. All right? Let's split up and go.
Gail Barber has been in Southfield 26 years and is a devoted nature lover.
I love these Berberian woods. They're the secret native landscape in the middle of urban metropolitan Detroit. Half a mile from Tel 12, it's a wildlife sanctuary. It is a nature preserve, not a park. And we all need green space. This location's main task is pulling invasive species, primarily garlic mustard, Dame's rocket, and we have a new bad guy on the block. Its name is narrow-leafed bittercress. I just learned it myself, and David Mindell with his PlantWise group are part of the work that's going to be done in Berberian Woods and I think other parts of Valley Woods Preserve. Because we have a worldwide economy now, we have lots of plants, people, products coming from around the world. They come on the ships, they come on the plane, they come on the animals, and they're not native here, and so they tend to want to take over an area, which oftentimes changes the chemistry of the soil to suit them, and they overburden the area, and so the native, diverse sections of native plants can't survive. So we get the bad guys out and restore the good guys. So we're addressing garlic mustard, Dame's rocket, and bittercrest, narrow-leaf bittercrest. We also have a honeysuckle, an invasive honeysuckle that we're going to get out also, and that's what the PlantWise people are doing. But most of the honeysuckle you see here and around people's yards, as lovely a bush as it is an invasive. It's not good, it'll take over.
David Mendel is the owner and founder of PlantWise, a company with a focus on ecological restoration, which includes invasive plant control, prescribed burning, and plantings using native species to encourage habitat.
So I've got several of my staff are here, and we're partnering with Gail, who's been a long-time volunteer at the site. And we've just been leading volunteer groups to pull several of the invasive species that have been plaguing this area. Many of the invasive species outcompete our native plants, and they're plants that are not well adapted to our native pollinators, various insects, birds, small mammals, and so they don't have any wildlife habitat. And so what ends up happening is that as invasive species become established in our landscape, they crowd out the native species. There are two of the invasive species that we're focusing on today. One is called Dame's rocket. It's a plant that was mixed into many meadow mixes in the 80s and 90s, even the early 2000s, because it's got such a beautiful flower. But the plant has kind of run rampant in many of our plant communities here. Another species that we're focusing on is less showy. It's called narrow-leaved bittercress, and this is a plant that really thrives in floodplain forests and along rivers and creeks. Once the plant kind of gets towards flowering, it extends quite a bit. You can see it's a lot larger than the previous one that I was holding. Invasive species are kind of a scourge on our landscape. They end up having a huge impact on our wildlife because most of the wildlife species can't use them for food sources or habitat. And so people should be very conscious of what they're planting at home and should be looking around for invasive species that may be in their yards and in their neighborhoods. I guess the only thing I would add would be that it's really important for people to be very conscious of the plants that they put into their landscape, because oftentimes our plant choices are the things that end up running wild in our natural areas.
Every year, the Rouge River banks are constantly eroding due to excess flow of water into the river during rainstorms. This excess flow of water washes away riverbanks and along with it, trees and logs. Throughout the year, the logs and trees pile up, creating log jams. These log jams impede the flow of water through the river. So every year, volunteers remove these log jams, allowing the river to flow freely. The annual Rouge Rescue Cleanup is a major undertaking that involves residents, local corporations, and businesses. The event has grown from just removing large quantities of trash from the river to focusing on restoration and volunteer efforts to remove invasive species from the river corridor, install native plants, and to stabilize the stream banks to improve the health of the river.
Just gonna pull it slowly.
You can get involved with the Friends of the Rouge Rescue by donating, becoming a member, being a sponsor, and of course by volunteering. Contact the Friends of the Rouge at 313-792-9900 or go to friends@therouge.org. Well, that's it for this special edition of Business Matters. To see other editions of Business Matters or other Southfield Multimedia Services programs, go to cityofsouthfield.com/cable15 and select featured programs, or visit our Facebook and YouTube channels. Thank you for watching.